walk of life. Yeah, you do the walk of life.
Hello and welcome to Chapter 14 of My Little Radio Experiment. I'm your host, Vince Russo, and you're listening to Positive Vibes on RMU Radio, your campus, your voice. Hello and welcome back for Part 3 of our Don't Sweat the Small Stuff series. That was Walk of Life by Dire Straits, which I think is going to be now our new kind of lead-in song. One of my favorites, Andrew Filipponi of The Fan, used it as a bridge song between segments. He'd play the beginning of it, and I texted him and asked what song that was, and he told me, and I've used it ever since. And it is a lot of fun, that song. It's just one of those cruising songs, I think, and an old classic from Dire Straits. So hello, welcome back. Starting a couple minutes early today because we got a little bit of time, because Kicking It Old School had to cut it short. Kristen Kudla, the host of that show, had to run. She is helping to work for the broadcast team for the women's basketball game tonight, so a shout out to her and a shout out to the girls basketball team, first in the NEC. Hopefully they can keep that run going. So going to start off the show by reminding everyone this is our third part of the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff series, and this has been a lot of fun so far. Had a lot of nice feedback from it, and this book is awesome. 100 small ways, basically 100 little tips with a little bit of a couple paragraphs by the author afterwards on how to live a more productive and positive life. And they're not overwhelming things either. They're quite simple things, and they are a lot of fun. So before we get started with that, talk about all the usual housekeeping orders. You can get interactive with this show not only while we're on the air, but after. You can text us at 724-594-8541. That's an easy way and a fun way. I have a lot of fun with the texters, more than I think any other medium. But then we have the Twitter account at Positive Vibes 99. At Positive Vibes 99, you can tweet the show, and you can find our Facebook page, Positive Vibes Facebook page, and any of those mediums allow you to interact with the show, suggest songs, suggest topics, any of the sort, and we do love it here whenever the fans chime in, because this is their show, your show, because we're here to get the most positivity in this world that we possibly can. So last week, the 3 that we talked about, because we've kind of gone in increments of 3 as far as this book and talking about the tips, because we want to get into it just a little bit instead of just rattling off 100 simple things to do. Might as well talk about it a little bit. Last week we did reminding ourselves, well, this was number 4 through number 6, by the way, reminding ourselves that when we die, our in-basket will not be empty. Basically saying that we always work to try to find the end of the tunnel, the time when we can retire, relax, and just do nothing. But we never realize that the in-basket never really goes away. We always have grandkids or other things to worry about when we get to that age. There's never going to be a day where there's just not one worry in the world. So don't let that overwhelm you. Realize that it's just a part of life, and it's just a part of the awesome experience we've been given. Number 5 is do something nice and say nothing. Often people do nice things for each other, but it's whenever they expect something in return, or they make a point of it to have to tell everyone about it, that it becomes kind of diluted, the whole experience. I was blessed and fortunate enough. I was in the cafeteria here on campus last night, and a girl left her purse behind, and my friends and I, we didn't want to look through it, and so we were just able to see from first glance her license when we looked and peeked. And luckily, I walked to the second story of this building that the show's hosted in here, and she was still walking around. I don't think she'd even realized that she lost it, and this kind of defeats the purpose of not telling anyone, but the point of me telling it is that after doing it, I kind of just went back along my way and went back to my dorm, as if, that's something we should be doing, and if it was rewarding. And I share that with you because not to tell about my experience, but to show that it really does work, and in action it's a very gratifying feeling. And then number 6, we had let others have the glory. And it's just a great conversation etiquette. Instead of making the conversation about ourselves, we open it up to someone else, and we really let them tell us about the great things that they've been able to experience and do. And not only is that a common courtesy and a really nice thing to do for other people, but it allows you to form relationships. How else do we form these relationships if we don't allow people to open up to us, and we don't get to know who they are? And in return, hopefully they see this positivity, or maybe they're even listening to here tonight, and maybe they'll do the same thing the other way around. And to get a society that conversed in that way be a lot of fun. So that was 4 through 6. Tonight we're doing 7 through 9. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it with number 7 as I get the pages unstuck. It's learn to live in the present moment. To a large degree, the measure of our peace of mind is determined by how much we are able to live in the present moment. Irrespective of what happened yesterday or last year, and what may or may not happen tomorrow, the present moment is where you are all the time. Without question, many of us have mastered the neurotic art of spending much of our lives worrying about a variety of things all at once. We allow past problems and future concerns to dominate our present moments, so much so that we end up anxious, frustrated, depressed, and hopeless. On the flip side, we also postpone our gratification, our stated priorities, and our happiness, often convincing ourselves that someday will be better than today. But unfortunately, the same mental dynamics that tell us to look to the future will only repeat themselves so that someday never actually arrives. John Lennon once said that life's what's happening when we're busy making other plans. When we're busy making other plans, our children are busy growing up, the people we love are moving away and dying, our bodies are getting out of shape, and our dreams are slipping away. In short, we miss out on what is actually life. So towards the end there, that got a little bit dark. Talking about family members passing and such, but it's a very relevant point and a very important one for the demographic that's out of high school. I know I struggled with this. My first semester as a college kid, I was actually able to get to the gym today for the first time in forever. We've had so many episodes where we've talked about how important physical fitness is as far as being happy, and I feel a heck of a lot better now that I went there. But we make so many priorities and so many plans. We overwhelm ourselves on a daily basis as professionals here in a capitalistic society in America. We want the biggest slice of the pie in every aspect that we can, and at the end of the day, we end up setting aside the things that really matter the most. And just kind of opening up to some questions from the audience. How can we let the past go? How can we make it so that the past doesn't consume us and take away from the things we should be doing? And how do we not fret over the future? I think that's really the whole thing that talked about, was just letting that stuff go and realizing that we don't control any of that. I mean, yes, we can. Well, as far as the past, that's already gone. But the future, we can set the framework, the groundwork for it, and we can progress and we can move forward. But as far as what we control, what we can do, it's this present moment. It's this right now. And the more we continue to let that slip away, the more we're going to have those regrets where we look into the past. So taking the present on right now, you can set the groundwork for the future, and you can remove that crappy after feeling from the past. So how can we do that? That's the question I'm going to open up, is how can we avoid worrying about the future and the past? And as we go to our first musical break, little relevant song, we're going to kick it over to some Swedish house mafia. And this is Positive Vibes on RMU Radio, your campus, your voice.
I used to look into my father's eyes. In a happy home, I was a king, I had a golden throne. Those days are gone, now the memories on the wall. I hear the songs from the places where I was born. Upon a hill across the blue lake, that's where I had my first heartbreak. I still remember how it all changed. My father said, don't you worry, child. See, heaven's got a plan for you. Don't you worry now. A time I met a girl of a different kind. We ruled the world. I thought I'd never lose her out of sight. We were so young. I think of her now and then. I still hear the songs reminding me of a friend. Upon a hill across the blue lake, that's where I had my first heartbreak. I still remember how it all changed. My father said, don't you worry, child. See, heaven's got a plan for you. Don't you worry now. Yeah.
Alrighty, we're back. That was a little Swedish house mafia with Don't You Worry, Child. And we were talking about not worrying about anything. And as we move, we got a couple texters that have been so gracious to chime in. We got one texter saying, in my experience, you just gotta live in the moment and enjoy the now, because you never know when that moment will be your last. And great, very, very cliche, but very great. I mean, we really don't know. We really don't know what day will be our last, or if we will wake up the next morning. There is no guarantee on that. So it really does seem kind of like a distraction to go about worrying about things that have either already happened or are behind us, or things that we don't even know that we're going to have an opportunity to experience. So a very, very salient point, a great point. Thank you very much. And Stephanie, a very regular listener and one of the biggest fans of the show, and a dear, dear friend, chimed in saying that we can avoid worrying about the future and the past by addressing things as they happen and not trying to act like they didn't happen. That's a big part of growing up. That's taking responsibility for the things that happen in our lives. No one makes it through unscathed. No one makes it through clean. As everyone says, nobody's perfect, and it is so important to be able to take into account and be responsible and be accountable for the things that happen in our lives, and realize that everyone has their own crap, I guess, to go through, and it's how we get past it that really is where we gain experience as human beings, is where we develop and where we become what we truly are meant to become, instead of delaying that and kind of just not taking experiences as they come. Because as we said last week, looking at it as an experience and not necessarily just a challenge or an obstacle is a great way to go about life, because looking at everything in a downward negative type way puts the connotation on it that bad things are happening to you. But if you spin it so that it's an opportunity, it's an experience that you can go through and you can grow from and say, yeah, that happened to me, but look how I responded, and you can take a lot of pride in that once it's done. So take a quick moment to pause and plug yet again and talk about all the ways you can interact with the show. You can text us, as a lot of people have been doing tonight. We really appreciate that, at 724-594-8541. You can tweet us at @PositiveVibes99, and you can try to find our Facebook page, Positive Vibes. Moving on, number 8. Ask yourself the question, will this matter a year from now? This is one of my absolute favorites, one that I've read in other forms of literature, and absolutely, I try to live this one out all the time. Here we go. Almost every day, I play a game with myself that I call Time Warp. I made it up in response to my consistent erroneous belief that what I was all worked up about was really important. To play Time Warp, all you have to do is imagine that whatever circumstance you are dealing with isn't happening right now, but a year from now. Then simply ask yourself, is this situation really as important as I'm making it out to be? Once in a great while it may be, but a vast majority of the time it simply isn't. Whether it be an argument with your spouse, child, or boss, a mistake, a lost opportunity, a lost wallet, a work-related rejection, or a sprained ankle, chances are, a year from now you aren't going to care. It will be one more irrelevant detail in your life. While this simple game won't solve all your problems, it can give you an enormous amount of needed perspective. I find myself laughing at things that I used to take far too seriously. And now, rather than using up my energy feeling angry and overwhelmed, I can use it to instead on spending my time with my wife and children or engaging in creative thinking. Like I said, one of my absolute favorites, and so glad that that was included into this book, because it's so true. How often do we say at the time, this is, oh, my life is over, this is horrible, only 2 weeks later be like, oh yeah, wow, that was really dumb. It happens so often in our lives, and we let those little things consume us so much, and it's so important to just kind of let those little. It's basically the title of the book. Don't sweat the small stuff, which, by the way, is where we're taking all this from. If you've just started tuning in tonight, or if you just started tuning in right now, actually, it's Don't Sweat the Small Stuff: 100 of the Best Inspirations from the Best-Selling Series by Dr. Richard Carlson. And so true. We gotta let those things go and realize that, like we said before, it's an experience we're going through. It's something that is testing us right now. But as soon as we get done with that, we're on to something else. And that's what life really is a series of these challenges. And everyone wants it to end. Everyone wants to be in a rush to get through all these things, as we talked about last week. But what is the rush? What's the rush to get through all these experiences? Because it's like Robert Frost said, it's the journey, not the destination. And if we spend so much time hoping, wishing, and waiting for the journey to be done, we're going to arrive at the destination far too quickly and look back and just wish that we could have done it all differently. Please, if you get anything from this program, just realize that life is a gift. Life is an opportunity each and every day to do things that no one's ever done before and that you've never done before. And to take it for granted and to just wish that it was over. And granted, we all have bad days, and I'm not going to take that away from anybody. But there's a reason we're here and an opportunity every day. And we see people that do enormous things with the willpower of one or few people. And I truly believe, and I would hope that everyone else out there does, that can come from anywhere and anyone. And what is stopping you? What is stopping you? What is stopping you from going out and doing something great today? That's a spontaneous question for the audience out there. What is keeping you from doing something great? Why not you? I'm reading another book right now called Enchantment, and I don't have it right next to me, so I can't remember the author, but it's a great book. One of my radio friends, my boss, David Schofield, gave it to me to read, and it's a wonderful book. It's talking about how to take charge, how to change lives, and change your own life in the process. And so often we look down on people, we look down on ourselves. What we need to realize is that everyone is much better at something than someone else. So those people that you think that you're better than, or the people that you think are much better than you, they all pale in comparison to you in some aspect of life. That aspect of life just might not be as important to the public as you might think, but it still is something that you've got on someone else, and it's kind of like a balance of powers that all human beings have. So continue to get back to the point with the whole, relaxing, don't worry about things that for a year from now you're not going to take very seriously. Is a great quote from a Van Wilder movie, which is not a very likely spot that you would find a quote coming up on this show, but it's my buddy and I always say it: don't take life too seriously, because you never make it out alive. And that's just kind of going back to the don't be in a rush type thing, because the more you rush, the faster you approach the destination, like we said, and the faster you approach not having another opportunity or another day to go out and do something awesome. And don't let the little things distract you. Like we said, it's a gift. Life is a gift, and gifts are awesome. Think about it. Think about it as Christmas morning. Every day is one of those presents. And presents are pretty awesome, unless they're socks. So we're going to go to another musical break before I try to attempt more comedy. And the question I think I'll open up here to the text line at 724-594-8541, or the Twitter account at PositiveVibes99, which needs some more followers, by the way. I only got like 22 followers. That's not good. If you're listening right now, go hit it up with a follow so we can get the message spread. But the question I will pose to you guys at those mediums is, what is stopping you from doing something great? So this is So Happy by David Pop. Just kind of stumbled upon this while listening to Spotify. But this is Positive Vibes on RMU Radio, your campus, your voice.
I'm gonna work it out. You're acting like my love is just a silly game. You've gonna lock me out. Whoa, you make me happy. Whoa, going round and round. Whoa, it makes me happy. You really don't know what you feel in me. I'm so happy, really, really happy. Living in the world past your eyes. Living in the world you left behind. I'm so happy, really, really happy. Living in the world past your eyes. And living in a world with love to find. With love to find. With love to find. With love to find. With love to find.
walking down the street, I heard you diss my name. You better watch your mouth. You're acting like my love is just a silly game. You could have knocked me out. Whoa, you make me happy. Whoa, going round and round. Whoa, it makes me happy. You really don't know what you feel in me. I'm so happy, really, really happy. Living in the world past your eyes. Living in the world you left behind. I'm so happy, really, really happy. Living in the world past your eyes. Living in the world we'd love to find. Having this party.
Alrighty, we're back. If you just started listening, this is Positive Vibes on RMU Radio, your campus, your voice. I'm your host, Vince Russo, and we're on our third chapter of doing a weekly book series here. Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, 100 of the Best Inspirations from the Best-Selling Series by Dr. Richard Carlson. They're actually on point number 9. Before we get to point number 9, a little more on point number 8, which was... let me read it verbatim again. Ask yourself the question, will this matter a year from now? Basically saying to let the small things go and not worry so much about what we cannot control. And realizing the insignificance sometimes of the problems that we face. They are important at the time, and they do have real life consequences, but it's just a part of the whole life experience, and it'll pass. And a little bit of the text line chiming in as usual. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. Some of the things that popped up are really quite common. The first one being worries. People being worried, bringing them back, but it's just kind of one of those things like the Wayne Gretzky quote. Wayne Gretzky. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words tonight. But Wayne Gretzky's quote saying that you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, and it's so true. And this worry, worry is a healthy balance, and it keeps us in check from doing things that are maybe a little too out there. But it's you gotta risk it to get the biscuit, as some of my friends back home always said jokingly, but it is true. You gotta put yourself out there to obtain anything. You gotta go out on a limb. That's how things get done. If you keep everything to yourself, no one's ever gonna know. So you gotta go out. You gotta do what you gotta do. And so others, my friend Nick on Twitter, a loyal listener from Australia, one of my best buddies, talking about how other people can bring you down. And I'm gonna kind of slant away from exactly what he was saying as far as maybe not having great influences around you, which is so true. But continuing with worries, people worry so much about what other people are going to think, and you realize we are all the same and we all have such insecurities. But if we all hold each other back instead of supporting each other, we're going to be so much less a progressive society than what we could be if we all just realize that sometimes the next time before you're ready to laugh at someone for trying something or doing something stupid, realize maybe they had a hunch and they were just trying to let that flow. And we got to support each other's creative sides and minds trying to expand into the world. So, and then the last one was the fear of failure. And I think that kind of falls in line with the other ones as far as everyone's kind of nervous and anxious about not coming off as a successful type person, because that's kind of the society we've set up, is that success is everything. But nobody achieves success without falling down and failing. It's guess and check method. You've got to learn what goes wrong before you can learn what gets right. So, like I said, if you want to interact with the show as the other guys did, it's the text line at 724-594-8541, or the Twitter account at PositiveVibes99. We have a Facebook page too if you're able to find it. I don't know that anyone has been so far, so I'm going to look at what other mediums. And if you have any tips or anything like that as far as how you want to interact with the show, let me know. and we will hit the same mediums. You can let us know on Twitter or through the text line, and we will take your opinions into account because you guys are what makes this show go. So without further ado, point number 9 is allow yourself to be bored. Another just excellent one. And I'm not going to read this one. I'm not going to read this one because it's quite long. But in essence, we fill our schedules up so much that a lot of people that I run into, especially at my age here, being a freshman in college, they don't really have time to sit, to breathe, to think, to just be themselves and be alone with themselves and sit in silence, except for the 8 hours that they sleep. The importance of having this time to kind of sit and relax, and I even go as far as to meditate when I'm sitting by myself, is to, when you take away all the clutter from the day and you just let everything kind of, fall to the bottom and sift itself out, you really see what in your mind, what matters. The things that really weigh the heaviest and are important will come to the light. They will surface as much of it doesn't make sense because of but I mean, anyway, they will you'll find out what really matters whenever you take time to kind of just sit and let everything figure itself out. And it just gives you a time to kind of process everything that's been going on. We go so fast, we go so far in life, and we keep ourselves so busy. They don't really take time to let our emotions out. They can be so easily bottled up with how busy we are. And actually, a couple weeks ago, I was in Mass, and Father Joe Friedy, a very, very popular father who sometimes stops by and does Mass here at Robert Morris, he talked about how he went on this quiet retreat, and he spent, I think it was 4 or 5 days in complete silence with, I think there was one service a day for an hour where they could talk, but they were in church. So, the talking that you do is being involved with the Mass and maybe a little bit of chit-chat before and after. But 4 to 5 days of silence. So many people couldn't even imagine that. And this is a silence where there's no Wi-Fi, there's no electronics, there's no TV, radio, internet, any sort of entertainment in that way. I don't know exactly what they were able to do. I would think they'd probably be able to read. But think of how often we need stimulated and driven by things. When we have our free time, we turn on the TV, we listen to music. Imagine if all that was taken away for a couple days and we really had to use our minds to keep busy, to keep ourselves occupied. That's something that I think a lot of people could benefit from, and something that I know I definitely want to try. But besides just relaxing us and letting everything kind of relax, which is a big part of allowing quiet time and relaxation time, I don't know how some people do it. I overbooked myself this semester and had to step down and remove myself from some different positions because I missed having time to play basketball and be myself. It not only allows you to relax and be yourself, but it opens you up, like I said, and lets you just sit and kind of think, which I think a lot of people fail to do today. They don't have enough time to just sit back and objectively think about how life is going. So we're going to go to one more musical break before we start wrapping up the show. And this is a little bit of the King Singers. It's a very relaxing song and one of my favorite groups. And I hope that you guys all enjoy it. We'll be right back here on Positive Vibes, or on RMU Radio, your campus, your voice.
You are the new day. You are the new day. I will love you more than me and more than yesterday. If you can but prove to me you are the new day. Send the sun When I lay me down at night, knowing we must pay, thoughts occur that this night might stay yesterday. Thoughts that we as humans small could slow worlds and mend it all, lie around me where they fall before the new day. Before the new day. One more day when time is running out for everyone. Like a breath I knew would come, I reach for a new day. Hope is my philosophy, just needs days in which to be. Love of life means hope for me, born on a new day. You are the new day.
All right, we're back. Like I said, one of my favorites in a very different style of music. So, trying to expand the minds a little bit here too as well on the show. So, like I said, this is Positive Vibes on RMU Radio. I'm your host, Vince Russo, as we wrap down the show. Remember to stay tuned. Up next is The Rift with John Russo. And we are not related, even though we have the same last name. But he is the same brand of awesome. So if you enjoy this show, stick around for his. It's technology-based shows. They talk about different types of technology and things like that. And I keep listening because I'm trying to learn what the heck they're talking about, but it's awesome, and they play good music, and it's a fun show. So, like I said, we're going to plug one more time before we leave. Even when we're not on the air, you can listen at not only RMUradio.com, but there's also the TuneIn Radio app whenever you get a chance to download that. And you can text the show in between weeks at 724-594-8541, and at the Twitter line, like we've been saying all day, at PositiveVibes99. And with that, you can suggest different topics for the show every week, different songs, anything your little heart desires. We aim to please here, and we love all the feedback we get from the fans. And next week, we're going to be talking about points 10 through 12 from this awesome book series, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, 100 of the Best Inspirations from the best-selling series by author Richard Carlson. So like I said, stay tuned for The Riff, next on RMU Radio, your campus, your voice. This has been Positive Vibes with your host, Vince Russo. Good night, everybody.
Doing it right, everybody will be dancing and